Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful. When the world's on fire. Good God.
Block
I
that.
can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot.
Yeah, but we all think you're crazy.
You don't fight this. No way.
The markets are freaking out, and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun.
Hi. Good morning. I was busy doing something. Sorry. I am excited about today because it is non-farms payroll. And I'm going to tell you right away that this street estimate is bullshit. They're expecting 450,000 payrolls, but I do not see a single analyst out there in all of my research that thought that it was going to be less than 400,000. So I don't know how they came up with that estimate, but I'm thinking it's going to be more like 600. So yeah, I think it's going to be good non-farms payroll. And that's really the gist of it. But hey, for fun, let's go through the charts. So E-mini did pretty okay yesterday. Was a little bit of like a little crazy ramp on the open that did come back though. It's interesting, yesterday with the E-mini trades, I really have not been taking the E-mini trades seriously, but I was like, we're just gonna go along, and then I was like, oh, I totally, I need to pay attention to this. Wait, are we at? Oh, okay, we're at our target. Took it off. Okay. Turned out great. Came all the way back. Lucky. Sim trade anyways. Okay, here in the treasuries, man, yesterday, what a trend day. And in the overnight action, it just kept going. We had a little bit of a pullback here. But now, even now, here around the open, it's pushing lower. So yeah, this is just really, we caught a really good trend. I'm super happy, even if this long rates that we've been in doesn't work out. It was still a great trade, and I'm really happy about it. So oil is was all over the place yesterday, really, and right back up to its highs after Putin saying that they were going to fix everything. So I'm not sure what caused that, but their natural gas is still depressed. So I have to say, everybody's still thinking that oil is going to be like $87 this year. So it's getting up there. Now, gold and silver, interestingly enough, have not moved much at all this week. Copper also kind of in a range, a little bit higher yesterday though. When we come over at Bitcoin, okay, there was a really, really damaging story on Bitcoin yesterday, but they, of course, the Bitcoiners just completely ignore it. They ain't gonna buy or sell anything based off of a Bloomberg story. Then over here, the dollar getting a little bit weaker maybe. So that's kind of the backdrop that we're in. So again, we are looking for 450,000 jobs. That's the consensus estimate, but my own benchmark is going to be 600 here. So let's get that all. Oops, we need to move over to here. Good morning, Win. Now we have the prediction in writing. Yes. Now, if you're wondering where I'm getting that number from, that's what the Goldman Sachs analysts were predicting. So that's why I think 600. Let's see. I need to pull up Financial Juice here. Man, look at the E-minis are doing all manner of cray-cray here ahead of this news. What do you think? Good morning, Octavius. Oh, my phone's gonna fall out of my pocket here. Let's put that aside. I don't know, boys. That's interesting that it's moving like that. 4202. It's like a 10-point range. And they're pulling early for this. They're pulling so early for this. News leak, Koos? No, I don't think so. I really think it's that nobody thinks that this is gonna underperform. Does that make sense? I was like all ready to get in here and be all, try and hype everybody for the trade and everything, but I'm honestly, I feel a little nervous. I'm just here we go. Jobless claims October, non-farms payroll, October, consensus estimate 400,000. I'm looking for 600,000. I have a swing long in here, yellowing it on micro contracts. 10 seconds. Here we go. Come to daddy. I think that this could be a good trade, but we'll see. Boom. Oh! Flat. 100. It was way under. It was way under. 100. I still made $30. I only lost $20 off of that. Wow. Oh, wow. Okay, hold on. He's reading through all the numbers here. I'll give you the numbers here in a second. Okay. Non-farm payrolls, 194,000 versus an expectation of 500. So I was dead wrong. I was looking for 600. And then where is the average earnings month over month? Average earnings month over month, spot 6 versus an expected spot 4. I probably didn't need to puke that right away and I would have recovered my losses. That's okay though. Oh, the robots were just pointing out that a bunch of prices got skipped there. That's all. Man, what a mess. What a mess. I don't want to touch this because I don't know what to make of all of this. Well, like, I think I know what to make of the news. 100,000 is concerning to me. Given all of the other metrics that we had, for it to be 100,000, that's like we really missed something somewhere, right? And that does make me wonder about, if not the taper, about how long it can be until they raise rates. So it could be very positive for the treasuries, but the average hourly earnings were up. I don't know, man. Look, they came all the way back here in the treasuries. Yeah, for the E-mini, it could be good. Kusitsjima says bad news can be good for the markets, less tapering. Uzi, what a miss. I know. I'm so disappointed. I'm disappointed and thrilled at the same time because I still caught, like we know earlier, it was like I swung it and I still caught an amazing trade. If I was doing stuff overnight, there was a chance that I could have made 60. But for the report to come out and I was still able to squeeze out $31 on my swing. And then if I had been more patient and let it come back on the whole, I could have recovered all of it, is really quite startling to me. So that's one thing that has me a little bit off balance here, right? That one did not. That one has me off balance because I'm expecting that the treasuries could run up all day off of that news. I mean, like this whole down move that we've had that I've caught could unwind, you know? And do a little one ticker here. Ouch. That sucks. So now the other thing that has me a little off kilter is that the E-mini is selling pretty hard off of it, even though that could be good for the markets. I don't know. We're going to have to let them sort this one out. Because I think that my ability at the moment to predict what the orders are going to do from this point is a little bit harder for me, I think. We might be able to pull out some market, you know. So I think that my DOMs are a little off skew there. Okay. Nope. Okay, so now they're rising here. So now I'm turning my attention to a couple of other things over here that are probably distractions. Oh, you know why? I know what's wrong. Okay, hold on. I'll be right back. Okay, coming back here, trading floor audio, tweeting this. Let's go live to tapering, and there has this video of the guy going to do the long jump, and he abandons it. He decides not to do it. Will they taper now? I don't know. Oh, you like the water? Oh, hold on, there's a mosquito. Oh, that's not a mosquito, that's a fly. Shoe fly. I bought this water bottle on Amazon, and I don't like that it has a screw on top, but whatever. And it is borosilicate glass, which apparently is the old style of glass, and the kind of glass in a mason jar that is better and harder. And I think it tastes different. And that might just be my imagination, but to me it tastes different. So I'm happy with my water bottle. Got that in the mail yesterday. Okay, so now the treasuries are behaving a little bit more like what I thought they would. Oh, right. I was looking at this. I was like, what's this? Okay, I'm out. Yes, I was. Okay. So, need to compose myself a little bit. I had everything, I was just like, oh, if it doesn't work out, then I'm just going to puke. And that worked out. So I think that I handled that well. Should I be turning around and flipping and going short rates? I probably could have, but like my mind is racing all over the place. I need to I'm going to give myself a few minutes to focus down because my mind is not focusing. Ayo, hello. Brannigan Barrett says this is the Goldilocks number for equities. 100% Fed tapers in 2021, but likely to see a hike in 2022 as a result of a slowing recovery. I don't know. I'm going to say I'm not 100% sure what the Federal Reserve does with the taper, but that is certainly a big enough disappointment that it could change their actions. Yes. Very much could. It's a very disappointing jobs report. Now, I think we still want to work out. Okay, so last month there were 42,000 job losses in food services and drinking places, and that hasn't rebounded with few jobs added. The number of jobs in leisure and hospitality is down by 1.6. Okay. Another thing that I'm thinking about is that one of the reasons that some of the analysts thought that there was going to be a rise was because of the unemployment benefits ending. I think that theory is not panning out. It doesn't appear to me that the unemployment benefits ending in the blue states has as significant of an impact as people thought from looking at it ending in the red states. The yen has jumped. Yes, it has. Okay, so let's come back over here and look. What a history for a jobs report during a non-COVID year is. October often down. Actually, seasonally, it does tend to be a little bit down. Okay, so we are coming back to some of the key levels from yesterday. Not completely. I got to do something about this fly. Look at it. You see it's sitting there on the microphone. So there's more room to go. The question is how much, where we would want to take it. Oh, it felt really good about that one little market making one too. Then now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, actually, didn't really have any particular edge in that spot. Okay. Okay, so to review from News Squawk, non-farms payroll, headline miss, lower unemployment rate as participation slips. U6 and employment population good wages pickup won't be encouraging for the quote-unquote transitory camp. So a mixed report, Hawks will see what they want to see out of it, as will the Doves. Oh, so this is a good point. So that is another thing that I'm having a hard time sorting out, is that the earnings is still going up at a higher than average rate. So I think that this report very much bolsters the argument of the stagflationary camp. Yeah. Here you're getting a situation where it does look like prices are going to be increasing on people while economic growth is slowing down. That was such a bad miss. Oh. That's not right. Oh, I see. Okay. Like, why did it do that? It's because I had it set to a stop order. We are lost and confused. Just let them sort out. After the non-farms payroll, the liquidity is like all screwed up for a good 15 minutes afterwards. So you don't necessarily have to touch it, right? Then in this situation, I would like to go long the treasuries. It's just a question of catching a good spot, right? Trading Floor Audio tweets, U.S. jobs numbers are worse than we would like, but better than they look. Jason Furman, the jobs number are worse than... Oh, he's just saying the same thing. Most important is the headline 194 jobs, but also hours are up a lot. Nominal wages are up a lot. Private's employment is up 317,000. Unemployment is down a lot, and black unemployment down even more. And there were positive revisions to previous months. News Squawk asks, does it change the November taper expectation? We're not sure it does. So this is the big problem. Here, Dave, like, we're confused. I'm not sure it changes the taper expectation or not. I think that the Federal Reserve really just wants to get rid of really wants to start tapering anyways. And I'm not sure until I hear a Fed speaker say something about it, I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. I mean, it seems like it should mean that they don't taper. But I don't really know. I don't really know. And maybe that's why the move in the Treasury is a little messy, because the market's probably not sure either. You're shorting the ES and raking it in. AO thinks that they're not going to taper. You might. I mean, I'm leaning towards no. I'm just saying I'm not sure I can make that call at this point.
Block sell.
Okay, interesting. Block sell at 13. What reasons do they have to taper? I'm not sure I quite understand. Oh, what reasons do they have? Okay, so I think that the whole thing here at AO is that the Federal Reserve believes that their asset purchases may be causing more harm than good at this point. And I think that there is a lot of reasons to support that theory, because the housing market in particular overshot. So because the interest rates were so low, it led to a lot of buying in houses, and it was just an absolutely insane speculative bubble in housing. And the price of houses got so high that like literally everybody stepped back and said, I guess I'm just never going to be able to own a home. And then the purchasing of houses, like the whole housing market just like completely fell over, you know? And that was all from the interest rates. So that's why the Federal Reserve has been saying, you know, like maybe this is doing more harm than good. And there's kind of a little bit of question that with the way that they're doing it right now, is the asset purchases really like supporting the market? I'm not sure that it, well, especially at this point, I really question if it really is supporting the market, because what it's doing is pushing up those big cap techs to insane valuations. I think in the long run that's not healthy. So I very much understand the Federal Reserve's desire to want to taper. It's just, can you taper when you get a jobs number like that? Is kind of the thing. And I kind of feel like maybe you can't. But, you know, all of the Fed speakers for the last 2-3 months have been very adamant about tapering. You know, that's why it was very much like there had to be a miss. There had to be like a real miss for them to not taper. And even now that we've gotten that huge miss, I think there's still a lot of question among market participants as to whether it will actually change the Federal Reserve's mind or not. I do believe that it, let's say that it significantly decreases the chance. Like before it was like a 90% chance that the Federal Reserve was going to taper in the next Federal Reserve meeting, okay, in November. Now it's like 50-50. Here's the thing is we still get another payrolls report before, because there's no meeting in October, right? The November jobs number could be really good. So
Block by.
Not confident enough to say that, you know, it's a for sure thing. Sky Adams, I launched 2 NFTs, did not make $1 million each. Oh, man. Hmm. Some Biden aides are taking bets on whether Janet Yellen resigns before or after the midterm elections in 2022, according to people familiar with the matter. What? Interesting. Yeah, NFT has missed its targets in the last 2 months. Yes. The thing that's really surprising about this non-farms payroll is that all of the tea leaves were positive. All of the tea leaves were positive. So I really thought that we were going to get 600K. I was very, very confident about it. I'm glad that I just practiced appropriate risk management and everything and bailed when I did. I mean, I could have gotten better. I definitely could have gotten better, but you know, I didn't lose too much. It was like $20 of profits. So that's fine. We're still up. I'm still happy. But geez, I don't think that a non-farms, I've been more wrong on a non-farms before. I don't think it's going to happen to you sooner or later, right? Okay, so there was a block sell at 13, and then there was a block buy at 13, and now they seem to have recovered it and pushing up. So we'll see if they're able to push us. Newsquack says, after a couple more normal headline non-farms payroll numbers, i.e. no 400K plus numbers, it's only fitting all next month's forecasts come way down and then we get a 600 plus. Could be. The market cycle, ever since I've been watching markets, is it goes to the point where everybody thinks that it's like absolute disaster is at hand, and like if we cross this line, then it's like it's over for Western civilization. We'll cross that line, and then the next day the recovery starts. It's like that's always how it works. And it could be that this time, but you know, there was a long way to go before people get to that point, right? Okay, U.S. non-farms payrolls increased by just 194,000 in September compared to forecasts of 500,000. Yes, that's a little bit late. Did you see that Texas is moving? What, Tesla is moving to Texas? Yes, I was actually surprised by that headline because I thought that they had already moved. I thought that was already a done deal that they were leaving California. Yeah, I took a short here in the 10-year. They note that they're still having a little bit of a difficult time moving up, so they look a little heavy. The delta, so like the cumulative delta on ZN is actually negative from what it was before the news, right? So I don't know. Probably eventually we do break the highs, but the volume and liquidity and everything is still very off kilter right now. Oh no. Winter conditions can be expected Friday night into Saturday across Utah's higher elevations. I mean, I wonder if Ace is there, if Ace ends up taking a swing off of this. Really? I got 8 ticks of that ZN up move, and I am way too proud of myself. So hand sitting in sim. So did you catch that like after things started moving then, yeah? So remember that it takes something around 45 to 90 minutes for the liquidity to completely recover. So you can see we're coming up on 30 minutes afterwards. Now, finally, maybe they're starting to pick up some up movement because I think that the upside target, I don't know how it goes today, but the key level above us that I would be looking at in the treasury would be like 132, right? That's where we spent so much time before everybody started betting on the non-farms being bad. And I really think that that's what was happening yesterday, was that everybody read that news between the ADP and the jobless claims and all said, well, the non-farms is going to be really good. So based on all of the other components, or what I call tea leaves that we look at, it all pointed to the non-farms being good. And there was hardly, like I said, there was like not an analyst saying there was going to be less. Oh, you did it at the 13? Oh, I got you. That whole thing was interesting. It like for a block buy like that, it was an incredibly unusual location and timing, wouldn't you say? Everyone off sides. That was, yeah, it really was, Brett. It really was, right? Well, the thing that I thought it was interesting, like trading wise, about that particular non-farms was the amount of volatility that they had going into it. The S&P 500 was taking 10-point swings going into it, which, usually the liquidity pulls and there's kind of some crazy stuff going on, but it was really particularly weird going into that news. Certainly there must have been some people on the street that had sniffed out that it was going to be bad. But clearly the Treasury was betting on it being a good number, right? So how do they sort that one out now? I don't know. So they came back up to that 17 area where it looks like there was a little bit, like there was some decent volume traded there their first time around, right? So they're having a slight trouble extending beyond that. So now all of the people in politics are waking up and noticing that the jobs number was bad. There's Stexhammer, first tweet of the day, second of a month in a row for this nonsense. Okay, Christopher Barad, I don't know why I'm following him or who he is anymore, but even taking into account revisions, the September report looks somehow weak compared to the expectations. However, it's not sufficiently catastrophic to review Fed taper plans in a context where every economist now expects a positive normalization in October. Okay. Oh, okay. So this is a good point, actually. So basically, the point that he is making here is that this particular non-farms is probably not the critical one in terms of the taper. Right? So I think what he's saying is that there was a lot of problems because of the Delta variant and the jobless claim benefits expiring, and the housing moratorium expiring, and all of that sort of stuff. It takes the economy time to absorb and sort those sorts of things out, and so we don't really know how a lot of those things are going until after October. Right? They're saying, a lot of the good stuff that we expect to happen is going to be in October. If November came out and November was still bad, then definitely they're not going to taper, right? Everyone has a theory after something happens. Well, that's the way that you really want to go, though, right? Is you got to be a sleuth, because the whole thing is, to predict future price movements, you have to be able to predict what the orders are going to do. And so it behooves you to look at the various theories on why the market could be moving, and then look for evidence that confirms or denies those theories, right? So one thing that we got going here is, okay, the treasuries have declined a ton in the past day. Then the non-farms was bad. So if that's the case, shouldn't the fair price be back or even above where we were 2 days ago? So back at 132? Well, you would think that. So why aren't we just gangbusters up right now? Well, maybe one of it is because they still think that's still not bad enough to prevent the taper. Now, do we see anything in the order flow and in the timing and things that supports that theory? I'm going to have to say we don't have anything that directly supports it. But it's still a pretty good theory that we should keep an eye on, right? And of course, probably the best way to know would be to have a Fed speaker come out and say something, right? But we don't have one of those today. We do have Biden is speaking. Well, There's a fly on my microphone. The Treasury's having a hard time staying up there. Interesting. Oh, another thing I should point out is that the spread steepened. So the spread steepening is not in line with the Fed is not going to taper now. Gives it all up there. let's see here. The E-mini. Well, the E-mini was looking quite disastrous for a moment, but it's just a big mess now. So basically, like where it was, maybe slightly higher in ES. Oh, this fly is driving me crazy. There's Ace. How are you? I'm interested to see what you do here, Ace. This is a good going to be a good. You know what? I shouldn't set the expectations too high for him, but this is going to be a good test in terms of like how he thinks about these sorts of things to see what he does in this situation. Because this market is pretty crazy. And this open in 15 minutes could be like, oh, I don't know, man. I'm not even going to try a sim order over here in the evening because I don't know what they're going to do over there. Okay. They're trying. Maybe they're trying to make another run. This we are kind of getting like an ascending triangle sort of thing going on in the treasuries, which is it's not often that you get it moving around enough to do that sort of a thing. But Yeah. Despite the weak jobs total, wages increased sharply. The monthly gain of slot 6 pushed the year-over-year increase to for spot 6. So the high wages number could also be a reason why the treasuries are not just like straight up trending up, right? Although, I mean, it is still tilted towards the bulls at the moment. Chung, on the jobs report, there's a lot of real noise. We have to remember when we take a look at the headline unemployment rate, it's only taking the amount of people that aren't working relative to the amount of people actively searching for work. Yeah. What do you guys think? You know what we should do? We should do a poll. Taper. Yes, no. Ask your community. I should have added an I don't know option, but that's okay. Well, they kind of started a little bit of bullish action, but they fell back down again. Though I have to say, I'm not seeing like really strong volume pushing it around. This is kind of looks to me like market makers just kind of playing games with us, to be honest. Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen a chart like this in the treasury, man. It's weird. It's wild. Look at that. Look at it there in the ZB. Just like this crazy little zigzag. I've never seen that in the treasury before. Not like that, man. That is one unique chart. Now I am detecting slight bit of flattening. I don't know. So for this to do what I would think it should be doing, the ZB would have to buy up considerably here. Back to 13. Interestingly enough, for in the treasury, I don't have the market maker's average positioning at 13, which is where I would expect it to be. It's much lower, actually. RJ already went off to a fabulous vacation. Could be. There's not really much to say here. I think that we just kind of chill for a bit until the market opens, I guess, huh? Ready for the weekend? I guess I'm ready for the weekend. I still, I'm really disappointed in the jobs number, but I still made money off of that trade, right? So no reason for me to go depressed into the weekend or anything like sometimes I might if I, when when a non-farms doesn't work out. Forex Live tweets U.S. stocks set for small gains after non-farms payrolls. For sure, the really telling thing would be if on the open the S&P 500 just as buys gangbusters. Could happen. We'll see. Not confident enough on what's going to happen there to be taking a bet on it, but that's kind of what I'm going to be looking at, is if there's a strong buy on the open or not. So if there's a strong buy on the open, then that could indicate that the market doesn't think the taper is going to happen. Hmm. Interesting. 2227 sold 13.5 and the 13 completely pulls. So they definitely a hold there at 13, right? I do see the 5-year fell down more than the 30. So it does seem like we're getting the flattening. It's just the flattening right now is happening more in the 5-year than it is in the 30-year. I would expect that it would just be like the 30-year would just be taking off, but that's not what's happening. There's NASDAQ trader. Hi. Still, how much longer we got? 2 minutes? I don't know, guys. Let's reset that. Now they're losing 25.5. You know, I wouldn't be too concerned about the whole kind of being around, a few ticks around that. But now the 12 pulling 2 is a little odd. Well, I shouldn't say it's a little odd, but it's definitely not favorable for anybody that's going long treasuries here, right? Hmm. So I go back to those big orders that we saw at 13, and like initially there was like a pretty good jump off of it. They went up to like the 17 area, right? But now they're getting a pretty good extension the other way. Like most we ever got was 10 ticks, right? And now we've gotten pretty quickly there 10 ticks against us. So that is curious. Why does it say MA 14 when we've had, maybe it's gone against us further than that at one point. Okay, here's the open. That was like the longest 10 minutes ever. I felt like when you're really, really sucked into the tape, time slows down. Okay. Well, there wasn't like some sort of strong initial volume on there. They're kind of sorting it out. Really? They're going to touch the low here in the Treasury? Really? Is the E-mini gonna buy or what? Now, was there volume on? There was. Oh, that's interesting. So there was some pretty good volume short in ZB there. Well, I'm seeing some absorption here at the lows. That sort of action says there's something I'm missing, right? Because even if you're coming in and making the bet that like they're still going to taper, I don't see how you could justify putting like a huge short on there, right? Well, I guess I shouldn't be too shocked here because we often see really bizarre stuff after non-farms, right? It can be really, really hard trading after non-farms sometimes. Okay, it looks like the E-mini is on the downside at the moment, and they're making a much more significant push on the downside than any of the up action, at least. Yeah, you don't feel like playing these moves. Who's that? Hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, ECB's one such. Now is the time to think about exiting the stimulus. I'm noting a slight divergence here between the micros and the full treasury. I mean, if this were to recover in the treasuries, I would expect the ZB side of it to rocket up a lot faster than the others, right? Too much two-way action. I bet the market maker made a ton of money off of that series of moves off of the non-farms. The way that traded. Because they had more than enough room to like sort their positioning out and everything. Get on the right side of it. And for all I know, that's exactly what happened is their market makers just letting their bids pull because they wanted to come back. Look at that. It's still like the 9.5, 9, 8.5. They're not holding anything at all. Seeing large orders starting to get involved over in the ES. Oh, by the way, we should have the dollar up here. That's curious. So I do think that this move down is being driven by the Japanese yen, but I don't know. Long and dragging curve lower now with inflation break-evens rising. But that's not what's going on at the moment. Okay, whatever. The ZN looks, well, I mean, the latest action sure looks like a short, right? Look at that. So those clicks are all coming from ES bouncing there, but okay, well that was a decent uptick in the treasury. The bid didn't hold on it, but that was wrong. Well, whatever. I don't know why it says that I got filled there on the 08. I think the sim screwed up there. That was weird. Okay, bouncing. Will this bounce make it back up to above 11? Ah, man, now the major news. So there was this story yesterday. Major alleged Texas high school shooter released from jail. And I saw that yesterday and I was like, what? But now I'm seeing like major news outlets posting this one out. Like, that's crazy. Okay, E-mini recovered is back to the open. Okay, that was a strong uptick there. I do see the 6J coming back a little bit now, helping them. And there's a fly on my microphone, and I really want to kill it. It's like staring me. Can you see it? Can you see it on the camera? Oh my gosh, not really. He is mocking me. I am gonna kill you, you little MF. Okay. Show yourself. ZN and ZB are confused. Dude, I think everybody's confused at this point, man. I'm not quite sure what to make of this. I'm not quite sure. I have no clue well, actually I do. The 6J is falling. I don't know why. The Japanese yen is falling and dragging treasuries are down with it, and I'm not sure why. Gotcha. Any other flies want to bother me today? A mosquito there? I'm just seeing things. I'm just hallucinating now. See, look at this. Look at the on the side here, the 6J. Like the 6J had a little bit of a reversal, and the treasuries bounced a lot harder when that happened, but then it settled down again, and it's not catching a bid. Is me getting paranoid, or the limits at the bid and volume at the bid not as snappy as at the ask? I mean, that can change on you sometimes. I just know, like here in the treasury, it looks like it's a correlation that they're trading off of at the moment. So Seth is selling his 500,000 ZN contracts. Something's going on. Well, I mean, there's a little bit of selling. There's about 15,000 maybe that sold to bring us down to the lows, but when you look at the volume and everything, you can see that like the treasuries want to buy it.
Block sell.
Look at what the fuck? What? Now that I have never seen. Somebody just sold 6K contracts there. What the fuck? That was nuts. That was nuts. That might have been somebody panic selling. Because look, they're recovering above it now. Oh, although a lot traded there at 08.
Block sell.
What? Really? Someone's doing something, man. Did you see? So another block sell through came through at 07.5 to smash us down. I was looking, so I put a little alligator out there. Okay, that's a little bit better. You can get a good spot there in the queue. That was perfect. That's the way you want that to go. That's the way you want that to go. Like I put in at exactly the right spot, and then somebody stacked on top of me. For a moment, some of it pulled, but then it added back on again. So I was able to get it. Last 5 days have been a short to ZN kind of move. Yeah, I have to say, I'm really shocked. The most recent movements in the treasuries, this move down is really surprising to me. And the volume that we're trading down here is really surprising to me. Now, the 6J has actually recovered a little bit, but the treasuries are still under pressure, apparently. So I think that kind of works against our thesis that it was just a correlation that was trading down. So what could be the cause of that much selling in the treasuries? Ooh, man, I don't know. It's pretty crazy to think about, isn't it? Okay, well, they're finally building up a little bit better of a bid at 07.5. Oh, ticket 08, that's good. Birds. I'm seeing here on Twitter somebody posted a picture of a van that says birds aren't real, and they're saying, you know, that in the Bitfinex Tether TV series, the character that portrays Bitfinex should be a flat earther, moon denier, and driving this van is just funnier that way. That's he's saying when you cast me, make him be a flat earther or whatever. But the birds aren't real. So I'm looking at that. I thought that was a joke. Are there people taking the birds aren't real thing seriously now? Because, like, what? It was a joke. Mm-hmm. Saw the same poster here in Austin, Texas. About the bird, yeah. Well, people will have like rallies about it, but I'm pretty sure it's a joke. Like it was all an internet joke, but I'm wondering if it's starting to pass that point where like it started as a joke, but then there are some people that are stupid enough that they really believed it, you know? Okay. What caused that? So, do you see that they were about to tick up and then they flipped it down 2 ticks? Yeah, birdsaren'treal.com. They have a website, of course, but it's a solid joke, right? Hmm. And the 6J bounced. The 6J bounced. So that I think kills that theory. Where's it coming from? The 30 years trying to pull itself up. Hmm. When you look at the move in the 5-year, it's not so dramatic. There's a new low. Wow. Hmm. Like what the volume like that is like I'm starting to think like sovereign wealth fund, you know? Okay, so we got retail sales. Ooh, wholesale sales month over month -1 spot 1 versus in a forecast of spot 9. So that's bad. Don't know. The E-mini doesn't seem to be. I don't know. E-mini is up at the moment. Okay. So it's kind of going casual again. I don't know. How do you spell sovereign? Sovereign. Sovereign. Octavius says stealth price action in CN, no market buy orders, just icebergs and pulling. It is a little weird, don't you think, Octavius? Like, the way that it's moving makes you think that there's like a correlation pulling it that way, but then when we go around and we try and find the correlations, we can't find it. And the spreads aren't necessarily doing what you would expect them to either. Are they going to put up a little fight here? No. You're looking for a ZN entry, but you also don't want to take a loss? I don't know, man. I mean, with such unexpected flow, I think you're gonna see, like it will go longer than we expect, and then after we all give up on it, it's gonna rocket back up here. But who am I to say what it's gonna do when this flow has been so unexpected? I think. Hmm. And you can see that like the buyers just aren't coming in, right? 'Cause the buyers just aren't coming in. Like, 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 the buyers just aren't coming in. Like Like this new high in rates, one spot 6. I could have held my long this whole time and I would be up like $40. Good grief. And anytime that it ticks up a little bit, they smash it back down again. Primary skills are the Fritbin and TPO volume profile and by a sec of the dot. Well, look, you gotta remember that like technical edges are kind of shaky, right? The skill in reading the DOM is just understanding what's going on at that moment. But you have to realize that what's going on at the moment does not necessarily predict what's going to happen in the future. No one needs to get in this job. So did you ever take a trade with Ace? The E-mini looks particularly messy, doesn't it? NinjaTrader's DOM is garbage. Well, yeah. What software are you using? That's the first thing. You really can't do it with the NinjaTrader DOM, man. It just doesn't cut it. Oh, you did catch. Okay. I really hate it when I get strong order flows that I don't know why they're coming. Well, I wouldn't say that technical edges aren't a thing. It's just like, my opinion is that they're not really worth pursuing, right? It's not that they can't exist. It's that they're not really worth pursuing. So the market is so good at eliminating them that you really have to put an immense amount of effort and resources into finding one. And then when you find it, and if it's really something you can find as a retail trader, there's like a really good chance that after a year it's going to disappear. No, because there's not. See, Ace still is in denial. So he says, I make a good living under using technical indicators. Well, first, I don't know how much he's made, but it's not the technical indicators that's making you money, Ace. Everything works if it works for you. Okay, but here's the thing, FT. For 95% of people, it doesn't work. I did take a course on it, but it didn't help much, such as reloading icebergs. Well, yeah, but like you gotta come in and think about it. Like, when you see an iceberg, okay, say we were seeing an iceberg here on the bid at 04.5. Does that mean that we're going to reverse and we're going to turn around? Well, I tell you what, if you trade for a long time and you use that as your signal, you're probably going to catch a couple of situations where you bought on the iceberg and faded, and that was the low of the day, and it really works out. And it'll happen enough times that you'll be convinced that it's like an absolutely golden signal or whatever. If you go and you do empirical research on it, you'll find that there's not edge in it over a long enough time frame. Okay. So does that mean that reading icebergs is useless? No, but it needs to be put in context with everything else that's going on, right? Let's try and piece together what the context is today. The market has been, interest rates have been increasing, presumably because a lot of the economic numbers that we got this week looked really good and suggested that the Federal Reserve was going to taper and that the jobs number on Friday was going to be really good. Then the news came out and the jobs number was absolutely dismal. So, of course, the treasuries rose initially and rates came back. But then, out of nowhere, for no discernible reason, we saw an extremely strong flow that pushed us to new lows. That's the context. So, I don't know why this is coming through here, but if I see an iceberg at 05.5, is that like really a good reason for me to reverse this flow? Not really, unless I have some reason to think that it's going to stop there. Like if I know that the reason that this flow that is coming in short is because a sovereign wealth fund owns some bonds over in the United States, and if the United States economy isn't doing as well, then they want to get out of it. So they're selling the U.S. bonds, and so it doesn't really reflect much at all about what the future rate of interest rates are or what the Federal Reserve is going to do or anything like that. And that's kind of what I suspect is the case. I don't know what's causing the flow, but since we don't really have a clear reason, I think that we can suspect at least that there might not be actual informational content behind this selling order flow. So if let's just run with that theory for a second, if that's the case, and I have seen enough flow come through that I'm pretty sure that the sovereign wealth fund that was selling is finished, then I would have a really good reason to think that it's done and that we're going to bounce, right? But that's all based on context and where does the order flow become useful in there, right? Well, the order flow becomes useful in I can see that meta order is finished. I can see that maybe people are fading it now, but I can't make that trade without some sort of larger fundamental context to work with. Because you got to remember that the market is more technically efficient than it is informationally efficient. So if I have an informational inefficiency that I'm trading off of there, and then I can see something in the order flow that gives me a good spot, whether that is, an iceberg or people buying it there that makes me think that the volume is going to try and hold it there, or just what I'm seeing on the inside bid and ask that gives you a good spot in the queue to get a good fill, right? It's just kind of optimizing your entry, right? I think that a lot of people want to come into trading and their whole idea is, I want to make money without knowing what's going on, without knowing anything, right? Okay. Like you can do what Ace does and you can just trade when a 10-minute moving average crosses. But the reason that he makes money is because he uses multiple contracts and he has one that runs and he manages the risk, and it has nothing to do with the moving average. At least that's what all of the research that I've done on it suggests. Well, that was a much more significant pullback than we've had on this. So the volume definitely died out. We're not seeing the big crashing sell orders come through anymore. There was some of this action that was like buyers are scared, but maybe now they're picking up some confidence. Oh, you said something that kind of scared me a bit because it was my primary trading strategy, and that was doubling down. Oh man, yeah. yeah, like that's the thing, is that you can actually do really, really well in the short term with doubling down. And that's why, when I'm not trying to bash on Ace here, I'm just saying it's, I think, really useful if you're going to try and do what Ace does. I think it's going to be really useful for you to understand where the profits come from. Okay, so going back to the doubling down example, you can make a lot of money in the short term from doubling down. Why is that? Because you take on a lot of risk. The market pays you for taking on a lot of risk. The problem with taking on a lot of risk is that when you are wrong hard. You lose more money. Okay. So essentially, you are vulnerable to fat tails, is the way that I describe it, right? You're vulnerable to fat tails. So going to Ace's strategy, okay, what he does is he's managing the risk in a different way. He's taking multiple contracts, and the first few contracts are trading at such a close price that it's almost guaranteed that they're going to get filled with just noise, okay? And his stops are far enough away because he's got I think that what he does, correct me if I'm wrong, because when I was doing it, I didn't do the moving average, or I didn't do the multiple contracts, but I think that he does one contract there, and then he takes one off there, and he takes one off there, and then the stop is down there, right? So the chances that his first order, I didn't take 3. Hold on, let's fix that. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So the first one is there, and then the second one is there, and then the stop is like way down here, right? So the chances that that first order gets filled are pretty high, right? Because it's the chances of that getting filled before that gets hit is greater than 50%, right? Well, It just dashed it out anyways. I didn't have any reason to take a trade there, but let's see here. I'm going to try and do it more seriously and see if I can get one to work out. Okay. Okay, there you go. There's the first one. Okay, there's the second one. So now I'm going to be a little bit more generous than Ace tends to be with it. Okay. I'll say let's just leave it down there for now, okay? I might even, if it comes back, I might try and take it again. I'm gonna try and extend his system a little bit, right? Might be a disaster. We'll see. But I'm trying to prove a point here more than anything, right? Just off of that last one, right? So I got 2 of my targets filled. Was that because I had a really great edge on my entry signal? No, it was like, even if my entry was completely random, I had a good chance of catching that, simply because of where my stops and targets are set. Boom. Actually, I don't want to just take the fill if it just comes straight back down again. Okay, but now look, I've moved it. I can move my stop all the way down here, right? So the chances, just think for a second now about what we just did and how that changed our percentages, our probabilities. That's the word I'm looking for. Think about what I just did and how that changed the probabilities, okay? Now, for me to stop out, they have to move almost 4 points. No, 6 points. They have to move 6 points down for me to even start losing money, right? And I have the ability to just let this run. Now I can let it do whatever I want, and if the S&P 500 ends up buying today, then it's going to run, and I can catch this huge winner, right? So all of this stuff that happens in the initial entry can all just be noise. I could just be breaking even on that. But in the eventual case that I catch a runner, that makes so much money and I make profits off of it. So how did I make money? It was from the way that I dealt with the risk. It wasn't from how I entered. The entry, it's like useful to make it like a mechanical and consistent, but that's not where the edge is coming from. What is my edge? My edge is managing risk. I am a noise trader managing risk. Okay? What is the downside of being a noise trader managing risk? You don't actually know what's going to happen. You could run into a market situation where you just get creamed over and over again. Yeah, FT says ES is not going to run watch and see the fall. I think you're probably right. At least what I'm seeing right now doesn't suggest to me that the ES is going to go gangbusters up. It looks like it's very much stuck in a range, right? So I'll just let it come all the way back to the stop for fun. We can, because we want to like give it as much time as we can to see what happens, right? But if you think about another way of thinking about it is that prices are martingales, which means that the best expectation of the future is the current price. And when you go back and you go through all of the probabilities, it always comes back to that. I don't completely understand the statistical concept, to be honest with you. It's a little mind-boggling to think about, okay? But what that means is that if I have a target up at 8 ticks away and I have a stop at 16 ticks away, that it is way more likely for me to hit my profit than my stop, right? And I can kind of jiggle it around, right? Like at this point, I could try averaging down now, right? So I could start implementing some of these other things, like can double down and stuff, right? But what are some of the keys on there? Well, number one, your targets have to be very small. Like what you're looking to make on the initial main trade is not much. Number two is that like you don't want to overtrade with it. So once you've finally caught the one that gives you what you need, if it doesn't run, like Ace probably would have just been done at this point, right? Ace probably would have broken even at 43.96 and just taken the $30. I am interested what indicators are you using, because he used to use a set of moving averages, but I don't know if he uses those at all anymore. But that's, kind of telling that he can completely change the things that he's using for his entry, and it doesn't really change the way that he trades that much. And we're right back to 43.96. I sometimes wonder if I could trade with no indicators and still make money. Well, one key thing is for sure is that you want to have some degree of momentum going on you, right? Like we couldn't look at it and say every time that it's going down, I want to buy it, and that's my entry, and use the risk management principles that we're talking about, and we would make money. That certainly wouldn't work, right? You want to have some degree of momentum behind you, just to kind of help your chances of it getting filled. So, I guess it's a key point that we should add to our list of criteria here, which is that it's not so much the momentum that's the key thing as it is the ability to get filled, right? So I want to have enough volume and movement going on that it's reasonable for me to get 1 and 2 ticks at that time, right? Would you front run that big limit and ZB at 157.24? I don't think that that's big at all. You know what I think is weird is that there's a 9K order sitting at 131.09 half. How long has that been there for? Probably since it came through. Let's see if I can find it. 09 half. They pulled 3,000 at one point. Looking for a bright orange. There it is. They added 2,000 at 8:20. So it was only 10 minutes ago. Interesting. So, anyways, as I was saying, you want to have likability to get filled. When you're doing it in the E-mini, you know, I think a lot of traders can kind of sort it out just based off of how much it's moving, right? When you go over into the treasury, it's, you know, especially if you're looking for a one tick, that doesn't work out so well, right? So then you kind of have to look at how much volume is coming through at the time and what your position in the queue is to determine if it's really worth it to still be in the trade. I would go short here if I was to take a trade. Oh, really? Actually, that's an edge case then, I guess, huh? I don't know. If you had gone short at 43.96, I don't think that's the price that you would have taken. But if you had gone short, you would certainly be out of it already, right? But was I wrong on the targets? You're due at least 3 contracts, 1 tick, 2 ticks, third one you let ride, and all 3 stop out at 2 ticks. Sorry, 2 points. That's my recollection. I think Futures Trader 71 showed in one of his webinars a setup that was a little bit better. He says, yes, you were wrong. That would mean that you would have stopped out of that trade. You'd been wrong. Yeah. Yeah, say it again. So you take 3 contracts, first target at 1 point, second target at 2 points, third contract you let ride, and all 3 stop out at -2 points. Oh, Mehlaman saying, I second that as well. Large orders on both sides. Overall, the fundamentals look bearish. WTI at 80. Wages growing month over month at spot 6 and the taper coming pretty much for sure, but some players take the other side. I don't know. Hey, thank you for using basic. Now you can use the diversity bear emoji. A says that's pretty close. Oh, okay. I need to go back and watch that video again where Futures Trader 71 gives gives it an exact set, because I think that his is like one of his targets is a little bit closer or something like that. And I don't know. I want to know where they pulled the math out for that. Well, so this guy though, he was saying the fundamentals look bearish. The taper coming pretty much for sure, but some players take the other side. I don't know. If it's good momentum, I want to use the 1 point target. Okay, so here's an interesting question then. If you used 4 contracts, Would you be more likely to take the second contract off at the first target, second target, or to let that fourth contract be the one that rides? Oh, why do I have that up? I'll ask it again. If you took a fourth contract, where would the target be on? Yeah, let that fourth try to catch a runner. Okay. That's actually kind of interesting. I suppose that would make sense more, though, that like you're only taking a fourth contract because you feel more confident about the direction of the day. Yeah. Therefore, it would make more sense to let that contract ride. Well, I'm tired of this. I'm trying to justify in my mind doing something else today, but I really shouldn't. I'm really disappointed. I'm really, really disappointed. That's what happens when you're only using one contract, right? If I had using two contracts, I certainly would have pulled more out of that. Later, Ace. Yeah. Man, today could not have gone worse. Really couldn't have. Or the money printer. You could use the money printer. That's a way better one. It could have gone well. No. Like in terms of how I traded, not how I traded, but how my trading turned out. I don't know. So I liked the initial trade. I managed the initial trade correctly. I took a second trade. I was wrong on the second trade. I probably could have puked that one a lot faster. That one's kind of a questionable as to whether or not that was the right decision or not. I'm not sure. It sure seemed like a man. I mean, you're not going to get situations where that sort of a thing happens very often, but it is going to happen around non-farms when it does. So now, I mean, the good news is that it went as bad for me as it could possibly get, and I still basically broke even on the day. But man, I am so bitterly disappointed about it. Treasuries are still kind of pushing the downside here. Is it going to go hit the stop? It should. I think it should. I don't particularly see the S&P 500 today being like a bullish day. I was just, taking it for an example. It worked out a lot longer than it probably should have, right? Oh, so you know what? I actually think I have it saved. That one that I copied from FT. Because I put his name on it. Do I still have it? Yep, I do. I have the 71. Yes. So it's like one contract, the target is at 10. And the other one, the target is at double. So he has a better probability of catching the fill on the first one. I think, though, that he said you needed to use 3 or 4 contracts, though, too. Okay, so the E-mini is really puking. He went long in ES. Okay. Yeah, it was like a Futures IO webinar about micros, wasn't it? I have to go find it because I saved it, but I think that I only did 2 contracts and he was saying 3 or 4. So as I was saying, I've said this many times before, like there's some math behind that I don't understand how to do. To say that it's better to do this target than this target and all that sort of thing. But I would also note that when he trades, he does it way more advanced, right? He will scalp and try and build up as much profit as he can through an area. Like in that trade that we took earlier, I probably could have pulled 1 or 2 points out of there 3 or 4 more times, right? That would have moved my stop even lower. Because the idea is you want to get your stop so far that they would have to break a new low of the day for you to stop out of the trade. Yeah, I don't know. I'll go and find it. Try and do some math on my own. Like the thing is I'm sure that there's like a complicated algorithmic way of doing it, but I can just go through and I can just say, okay, here's the probability for this contract, here's the probability for this contract, and here's the probability for this contract, and then here are the different scenarios that come out and how often they should happen and what your end result will come out as. E-mini looks to be bouncing. Treasuries look to be bouncing. Now that I'm out, that probably means that they can completely recover, right? Should keep an eye on this here. It might give me... it's not enough volume. It's doing something in a situation where I might be able to find a market making trade, but So before I go, I think I really need to revisit this. Like, okay, so the headline number was really bad, and the gut reaction was that decreases the probability of a taper and Treasury should move up, and they did several times. But in the end, it seems that somebody was selling it the whole time. So one theory is that the wages were up and there's concerns over inflation and so forth. And so the taper is still on. And so the treasuries took that spike as an opportunity to just sell it. I think that that's one, right? Theory number two is that there is some other flow coming in that doesn't have any informational content behind it that we are just not aware of. Could be the rebalancing at the end of the week or some currency flow, something of that nature. The 6J is still down, but I've kind of seen them diverge. So how strong do I think this, so I don't know if this is what Melman was trying to say, but fundamentals look bearish. WTI at $80, wages growing month over month at spot 6, and the taper coming pretty much for sure, but some players take the other side. Well, I feel like that it's a decent argument. I'm skeptical that it could lead to that kind of order flow. Like, if that's what it was, people would fight it harder and it would have been way more mixed and they wouldn't be able to risk as much on it and use that many contracts. No, I think it's got to be something else. Which means that we still got a chance of it bouncing back up for us, but I couldn't take the risk anymore. Man, I just wanted to be done. Gotta come back to break even. I just think that that's good for today, and I can just wait till next week and let's see what happens. The issue, though, is I don't know if next week. Well, okay, so let's come back and look at what we got set up for next week. Live Action says, I see this all the time. The opposite of what should happen, either that or I missed something. Well, for sure. Although this one is kind of a little bit of a different sort of a thing, isn't it, Live Action? Because if that news had come out and it was bad and the treasuries sold really hard off of the initial move, I would have taken my profits right then and there, and it would not have surprised me in the least bit to have seen the treasuries then go and push the highs, and that could probably be explained just from that everybody knew that the number was going to be bad and they took their profits, But for it to be the opposite, in fact, that it completely defies everybody's expectations and still goes down to the lows is really confusing to me. Really confusing to me is really all I can put it at. And it's, again, if you're going to be the informed trader, that's the downside, right? Is that sometimes you're just wrong. Sometimes you're just wrong, or something's going on and you don't know what it is. That's the one that frustrates me, man, is when something very clearly is going on big and you don't know what it is. So, but you can't do anything about that, or as in like, you can do something about it. You can try to be as informed as possible, right? But as informed as you can be, there's always going to be a situation where you don't know what's going on, right? That's always going to happen. So you need to be able to make more on the winners than on the losers. And that's, I think, where my problem has been more recently. Maybe if I'm started doing multiple contracts more often, that could help. Like I'm thinking like one contract at, but take one off at 8 and the other off at 20. Well, one last thing I guess we can do is we can go and check the news websites and see if they said anything that kind of Beijing will have full ability to invade Taiwan by 2025. Well, they were arguing that it was higher. Who's hiring and who's firing in September and what was behind the dismal jobs print? And Zero Hedge says blame it on the teachers. Well, look at the weeds of today's jobs report, which showed 194 jobs added. The lowest monthly increase in 2021 and missing all but one of 72 economist forecasts. It was hardly the stinker in the headline numbers suggested. For one, the unemployment rate slumped to 4.8 from 5.2 as the number of unemployed workers plunged by 710K, while the number of employed rose 526K. Another positive aspect is that hourly earnings rose spot 6 from the previous month, up from spot 4 in August. Then there were prior revisions. So I guess another theory is that the number was really just not as bad as I thought, right? I still don't see why that would lead to that kind of flow. The single biggest contributor to the lousy jobs report was the shocking drop in government workers. And this number was entirely due to a loss of 144K government education jobs. What this likely means is that the next month BLS will revise its seasonal adjustment model to account for the easing in the pandemic and reverse much, if not all, of this report's drop. And if it doesn't, it means that even more jobs will come online in October and November. In any case, one excludes the plunge in local education. The jobs report was hardly terrible. So, could be. I don't know. And some of that order flow down at the bottom may have just been all of these guys like myself that decided to go long and stopped out. So we'll see. Next week is another week, guys. Hey, I'll see you next week. Stay profitable, friends.